Hello. Today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how can it be used in the business environment, what works, what doesn't. And most importantly, why are we not so much scared of it yet? Okay, first of all, it's an overheated topic. For God's sake, it's not my MO to touch upon these topics. So why am I doing this? There are two reasons. First of all, existing cases describing the use of AI, they all seem eerily similar. Sometimes, it's a conspiracy theory. I'm thinking that AI is writing those pieces itself as a part of a self-promotion campaign. I know it sounds awkward, but if you think about the uncanny resemblance among so many of them, maybe you'll get the same conclusions as I did. Anyway, what people use it for? Trivial cases, like reading an email that you've received in a foreign language, or getting the summary of a meeting, the transcript, or just a transcript of a meeting automatically created by AI. These are completely legitimate uses, but kind of trivial nowadays, however weird it may sound. Second, people are talking a lot about getting quick summaries of books, articles, or something like that. Okay, my opinion differs. Why? If it's your profession, if it's your area, you really need to read it because you need to know the underlying logic, where it works, where it doesn't, what actually are the limitations, what are the exceptions, and whether you can trust those summaries at all, let alone that AI may not summarize it properly. So honestly, if you're a professional, just read the article, read the book. Same applies to students. Do not cheat. It doesn't work well for you. Third, some weird applications, say some play riddles with it, some create pieces of graphics, some even ask it to write a show script. Okay, I get the fun part of it. It works for you or for your podcast. But when it comes to the business environment, what about its uniqueness? What about copyright violations and other mundane and boring things that you do not want to think about? And the second thing is, in the business environment, I really wanted to get real answers to the questions. Where does it really work and help us today? Where it doesn't? What are the implications? And what do we need to tell our clients? Where do we need to be sincere and straightforward before using AI, rather than using it under the carpet and then dealing with the consequences? Most importantly, using AI in the business environment, it is not about particular tasks. It is all about comprehensive processes where AI is used for a variety of chores at different stages. And that's exactly what we do at LogrusIT. Overall, we're using approximately 24 various AI applications and engines because none of them does everything, and obviously any one of them has its own strong and weak points. So we can use AI currently for writing and improving texts, creating or developing graphics. Third, creating business prototypes so that clients can select the strategy for their marketing campaign. Fourth, animations that work very well. And the last but not the least, neural voiceovers into several dozen languages. All of this sounds impressive. We're doing a lot, but that's not everything. We can also check some things, starting from desktop publishing quality and to, say, mundane things like grammar, spelling, punctuation, and many other things, like even tone of voice sometimes. And we can also add relatively simple pieces of code to applications. So all of this works, all of this is utilized. Why are we not scared yet? We should be, or shouldn't we? Well, first of all, no AI tool on the market at the moment produces the final product. This is probably the most important postulate. Each of them needs a digital equivalent of a file or some other tool to polish it, improve it, edit it, or whatever. Moreover, it means that a significant human input is still required and most probably will be, at least in the nearest future. And only fools will make long-term forecasts at this point in history. Second, inevitable and well-known AI glitches, errors, and they result in us not being completely sure whether the content we've generated contains any factual errors, omissions, or other serious issues. Let me just remind you a very recent case of a lawyer in Australia who used AI to summarize materials for his case, and it turned out that some of the docket references that were in his files were completely bogus. I'm not making this up, it's a reality, you can find it in the news. And he had to apologize to the judge for numerous fake people and fake references. Second, the errors or glitches that AI makes are considerably harder to discover because the content feels so smooth. It writes it well. Well, you may say that humans also make mistakes. Well, they do. But mistakes humans make, unless it's intentional, are considerably easier to find. They are more pronounced. And with AI, it's very easy to overlook. I'll give you an example. Obviously, I'm using AI to create closed captions for my own podcasts. And I used it for the first one, where I used the word fallacy, meaning a misconception based on skewed or wrongly selected facts. Imagine my surprise when instead of fallacy, the closed captions contained phalluses, that is, male organs. I'm not making this up. Well, if you were watching it with subtitles, obviously you would just laugh. It will not create any long-term consequences. But imagine something like that happened in the closed captions that, sorry, I'm laughing, with the closed captions that we created for our important client. Okay, so this is it. Also, even with the code, how do we know that this code is the latest version, that it doesn't have known vulnerabilities, and where the hell this AI has taken it from? Is it from the depository that we're really working with, or is it from elsewhere and we're not sure what's in there? Just a thought. As a result, considerably more human effort is required to check the materials compared to materials created by humans. I would say that AI developers are exaggerating the productivity gain you achieve, because actually a significant share of this gain is actually spent on additional checks if you want to get human level final quality. Last but not the least, the copyright conundrum. You know, it reminds me of an old news piece. An animal, which is an embarrassment to look at, has escaped from the Philadelphia Zoo. If you suddenly encounter the runaway, please do not look at it.